You know, I had that question with myself as I was in the car talking to her, because I really didn't think I had done anything great. It might be great to me, it might be great to my family, it might be great to my mom and my dad, but to everybody in this room, I didn't think I was worthy to be up there. All right? So I'm gonna be very transparent, I'm gonna be very open and very honest with you, right? So I went through a very hard time in my early 30s, right? I was going through a divorce. The banks were calling. You ever get that call on your phone and you just look at it like, I'm not answering. I'm not answering that. I got nothing for you. I can't give you what I don't have. I was literally robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? The bank went to foreclosure on the house. At the time I had a timeshare. I sold my bike, I sold my car, I lost the house, the whole 9 yards. Filed bankruptcy, and all the while doing this, I started to get sick. I thought it was just stress. I thought it was just, you know, I wasn't eating healthy, I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. So I started to go to the doctor. And first, they said, hey, you might have some fluid on your lungs, you might have this, you might have that. So we went for some tests, right? And then we went and we got some more tests because that didn't work, right? I don't know if anybody ever seen, there was an old TV show called House. Anybody ever watch House back in the day? I was literally an episode of House, right? Doctor after doctor after doctor. Couldn't figure out what was going on, right? I had a roommate at the time, because I was trying to keep the house. I had a roommate at the time, and if he was here, he would tell you, I was in the bathroom. I was either throwing up or doing something else. I couldn't keep anything down on my stomach. At that point in time, I started out probably about 225 pounds, right? I did an amateur bodybuilding competition in Flint many months ago, so I was feeling pretty good when this all started. By the time it was all said and done, I was down to 165 pounds. I'm 6'2". Imagine me at 165 pounds, right? Never really knew what was going on. It took a lot for the doctors to finally figure it out. They thought I had ulcerative colitis. I ended up in the hospital for a few weeks, IVs, and I went to a gastroenterologist. And this was, once again, about 14 years ago. So it wasn't very well known back then, but they went to a gastroenterologist, they did the scopes, and come to find out I had celiac, right? And back then, being gluten-free or eating gluten-free wasn't a fact, right? It wasn't readily available. Not a whole lot of people knew about it. A whole lot of people didn't hear about it, right? So when the doctor told me, and I went home and I started doing my research, and I opened my cabinets in my house and I said, literally, everything in my kitchen is trying to kill me, right? Because you get sick, you start to feel bad. First thing you eat, chicken noodle soup. I'm literally eating things that are making me sicker and sicker and sicker. So that was no reason, there was no wonder why I kept losing weight. I ended up going on sick leave from work. I lost a lot of weight. During this transition, I ended up, the divorce was final. I was at my lowest point of my life right then. For me, I call it my Job experience, right? Because lost a family, my stepkids, my land, my house, my car, my health. I was going through it, right? And I got my apartment, started to get back on my feet. I got a dog, right? Kept me company. And then I met my now wife, right? And when she came over, she literally went to my refrigerator. And like any bachelor, I had nothing but 6-packs in the refrigerator. But for me, it was something different than what you were expecting. I had Boost and Ensure, because back then, that was the only thing that I knew that I could drink or eat that wouldn't get me sick. I was literally like a Kanye West song. Drink a Boost for breakfast and Ensure for dessert. Some people ordered pancakes, I just said dessert. I couldn't have any of it, right? Fast forward to today, right? So we're here, we're at a transformation event. So let's talk about transformation. I went from being bankrupt, I went from losing my house, I went through a divorce, I went through sickness, right? And here I am today, I stand in front of you. I'll be 45 next month, all right? Backed up to about 205 pounds. I own my home. I own Anytime Fitness in Auburn Hills, Michigan. I own 2 other territories in Bloomfield Hills and West Bloomfield Hills. I've been employed for General Motors for 24 years. Been married for 9 now. I have a son that'll be 5 next month, and a daughter that'll be 4 and 3 in August. All right? So things can turn around. Things will turn around. But in order for that turnaround to happen, you got to understand a few things, right? One, you got to understand that you are worthy for a transformation. You got to understand that a transformation can happen, right? You got to understand that whatever season you're going through is just that, it's just a season, right? You got to believe that it can happen. If you don't believe it can happen, then it's not going to happen for you, right? You got to understand what caused you to get in those situations, or what caused those situations to happen to you in the first place. Because no matter what these other speakers are going to tell you, if you can't get to the root of what caused their issue in the first place, what they're going to tell you to do to change it is not going to help, because you're just going to end up going back to where you were. If I didn't learn through the bankruptcy process what happened with my finances, then I wouldn't be able to stand up here and talk about owning a business and getting ready to procure 2 more, all right? If I didn't understand and learn what happened with my stomach and my gut and everything, I wouldn't be able to stand up here and talk to you about how I got through it, right? You gotta understand how you got in that situation, or how that situation happened to you in the first place. And you gotta trust yourself. You gotta trust the process. A lot of times, this generation doesn't want to trust the process. They want that microwave type stuff. They want that, I'm gonna put it in there, it's gonna be in 30 seconds, I'm gonna eat, right? Sometimes you gotta grow that thing. You gotta season that meat. You gotta marinate it overnight. You gotta smoke it. You gotta put it on the grill. Then you get the good ribs. If you want to throw them in the oven, you go right ahead. But my smoked and grilled ribs versus your oven ribs, it's a difference, right? I'm gonna tell you a quick story. How many people know what a bamboo tree is? Everybody know what a bamboo tree is? Does anybody know how a bamboo tree grows? Slowly. All right? So you take a farmer, he takes a bamboo tree seed, he plants it in the ground, he waters it, he fertilizes it. First year, nothing happens. Second year, he's continuing to water, he's continuing to put fertilizer on it. Nothing happens. Third year, he's watering, he's fertilizing, he's pulling weeds, he's tending to it. No visible sign that it's grown. In the 4th year, that bamboo tree shoots up in 6 weeks, 80 feet. Now, was it lying dormant during that whole first 4-year process? What was it doing during that whole first 4-year process? It was taking root. It was getting deep. It was linking up with the other seeds. It was getting a solid foundation, right? It was finding that water source. Look at your circle. Look at who you're around. See if you're growing a solid foundation. See if you got that solid water source, right? If he'd have given up in year 1, year 2, year 3, you wouldn't see a bamboo tree. Now, anybody ever seen a bamboo tree in a movie? Have you ever seen one snatched out the ground? To get past the bamboo tree, what do they got to do? They got to cut it, because it ain't coming out. I would much rather have my roots in a solid foundation. Have my roots linked up with other people that's like-minded. That's the other thing, the secret to this transformation, is that oftentimes you can't do it by yourself. You need to have that person that's going to whisper in your ear, say, come on, let's get up, let's go. Hey, did you finish your homework? Hey, did you turn in that book report? Hey, did you take care of your finances? Hey, did you go down there? Did you put in an application? You're going to need that person that's going to pull you along. You're going to need those other roots that's with you, right? So if your roots is linked up with some weeds, you need to do some pruning, all right? and I don't want to take up a whole lot of your time. I'm gonna leave you with one more story, and then we can do some questions if you want to talk about celiac or business or anything after that. There was a man, he had 4 sons. He wanted to teach his sons a lesson. So he told them, hey, over the next year, I want you each to go out and go find a pear tree in the field. So the one son went in the winter, the other son went in the spring, the third son went in the fall. No, he went in the summer, and the fourth one went in this fall. Year went past, he brought them all back together and said, hey, what did you see when you went out there? The first son said, man, Dad, it was twisted. It was been hunched over, there wasn't no fruit on it, it was really gloomy. And the second son, no, Dad, it wasn't like that. It had some nice little bulbs on it. It was starting to do something. I could see a lot of promise with that one. Remember, he went in the spring. The one that went in the summer said, they both wrong. It was full of blossoms, and it smelled so sweet, and it was so green. It was the most beautiful tree I'd ever seen. And the fourth son, the younger son, said, no, Dad, they all wrong. He was like, it was ripe with fruit. The fruit was hanging off the tree, and it was dropping to the ground, and it was sweet to the taste. And he said, you're all right. You all went to see a tree in a particular season. You can't judge a tree or a person based upon the season you met them in. All right? Don't allow your winter to depress you to the point to where you don't get to see the promise of your spring. Don't allow your spring to make you sit back and like, everything is good, and you miss the beauty of your summer. And don't get complacent in your summer that you miss the ripeness of your fall. My name is Ken Woodson. If you have any questions.